Good morning and welcome to the Landmarks Preservation Commission's public meeting and public hearing for January 27th, 2026. We apologize for the delay. We had a weather-related incident. We're going to begin by taking attendance. I'm going to ask our legal counsel, Mark Silverman, to call the roll.
Vice Chair Master.
Here.
Commissioner Chen. Commissioner Chu.
Here.
Commissioner Ginsburg.
Here.
Commissioner Goldblum.
Here.
Commissioner Quimby. Commissioner Jefferson. Here. Commissioner Mann.
Here.
Commissioner Wild.
This meeting is being held in our hearing room at 253 Broadway today on the 12th floor. It is also being held via Zoom and live streamed on YouTube for anyone who would like to participate remotely. We're going to begin with a public hearing agenda for new applications on our designated properties, and then move to a public meeting agenda for items which have already had a public hearing. Now I'd like to turn it over to our Director of Preservation, Corey Harrell.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair Master. And we'll start today's Preservation Department agenda with public hearing item number 1. That's LPC 25-11643. An application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Brooklyn, Block 262, Lot 37, 246 Henry Street in the Brooklyn Heights Historic District. This is a Greek revival style roadhouse built in 1846. The application is to replace the gate, the door, and the street.
Thank you very much. I'm Leslie Schultz and this is Andy Schultz, and we are the homeowners of 246 Henry Street. And thank you for your time this morning in consideration of our project. I don't know who's controlling the slides. I just say next slide. Next slide, please. Oh, well, the project is to replace a garden level gate with a door. This is the facade of our home. It is a 4-family building. The upper 3 apartments are up on the 2nd floor and 3rd floor, and then there's an attic floor, and the tenants upstairs enter up the building through the stoop. Next slide, please. This is the entrance to our apartment, which is a garden duplex. You can see the gate is down on the 3rd step, so much of it is below the actual ground level, and the gate is not front facing, it's perpendicular to the street. Next slide, please. This is the door that we're proposing. The shape of the door matches the shape of the opening. It would be an all black door with a pane of glass in the upper part. The wrought iron that you would see on the door matches the fencing, which you will see in the next slide. The existing fencing that I think has been there for maybe since the beginning, probably. Can you go back to the earlier slide? I just wanted to point out one thing. There's been some questions about the frame, because this is a project we're doing ourselves with a carpenter and a craftsperson. The frame, we want to get the door approved before the frame is finalized, but it will be a black wood, as simple as possible frame that the door is connected to. Next slide, please. So if you look at the glass, the wrought iron in the glass, you can see that it matches it was designed in order to match the design in the fencing. You'll see a little bit later, it also matches the wrought iron going up the main stoop. Next slide, please. So why this project? We need this project because we have pests that have taken up residence under the stoop, and particularly mosquitoes is the worst problem. When the city's rat problem was at its worst, the rats were also making themselves known. So we don't want to, we want to have solid there instead of an open gate. We've tried a lot of different, solutions like mosquito powder, etc.
And exhaust.
And exhaust fans and all things. It's been wild. Next slide, please. Oh, and the current design has been approved by the community board, the land use committee, and as well as, I believe, the community board itself has to approve before we get here. And also, we have an easement with a conservation easement with the National Trust for Architectural Easements or something like that, and they've also approved it after requiring some changes. Next slide. Oh, the location is 3 houses in from Geralman Street. It's mid-block, I guess, between Geralman and State and Brooklyn Heights Historic District. Next slide, please. So these are a couple of photographs to give you a bit of a view of what it has historically been. The one on the left is from the 40s, I believe. Anna, you helped me with that. That was, and you can see there that there is brownstone around the door. If you look at the slide on the right, which is the architectural designation photograph, the one with the white around the door is our house. So it's like 3 houses down. We took that white paint off and restored the brownstone as an earlier project. We've lived there since 1999. Next slide, please. So we looked at what your legal standards are. We believe that the proposed door is appropriate, compatible with the district, and respects the visual impact of the surrounding area. It is also minimally visible from the street, which we'll look at a little bit later. And in terms of the context, our block itself includes 47 residential buildings, over 40% of which have doors, not gates, on the garden level. We believe these are generally, but not entirely, buildings where the original stoop was removed, but where there are also quite a few under-stoop doors existing in the neighborhood, and particularly we've got some examples of ones in the immediately adjacent blocks: 56 Garden Place, 222 Henry Street, and 90 Geralman. Next slide, please. So this is, here you can see how some of the garden level doors. This is one that's 2 doors down from us. Our house is the one all the way on the right, then there's a street next to us, and then there's a garden level at number 250 Henry Street. Next slide, please. And then 254 to 258 are all garden level doors, not gates. And so again, these are just a few houses down. We walk past this every day. There's so many on our street. Next slide, please. This is an example of an understoop door. This is at 90 Geralman Street. It is because it's on a corner, you actually see this right from the sidewalk. You can walk straight out and look at it head on. And I do want you to notice, in case you do have questions about the frame, very simple black frame. That's kind of what we would imagine ours will look like. Next slide, please. This is another one, 222 Henry Street. We're number 246. This is a red door. You can see it, I think it's circular. And again, it's attached to a very simple frame. It is actually visible head on from the sidewalk too, because there's not a stoop next to it. Next slide, please. This is 56 Garden Place. Also, it's at the corner of Henry and, I'm sorry, State Street and Garden Place, and it is visible. Although it is perpendicular to the stoop, it is entirely visible, because that's how I found these things, because you can see it on 2 sides, including head on. So that's one of the reasons why we feel like our door, which actually has more transparency, is not at all inappropriate. It is appropriate. Next slide, please. So this is the screening. So we have planted a garden in front of our home. So there are lots of things that, as you're walking along Henry Street, would screen the gate. There's also trash cans, lots of trash cans in the front yard. Next slide, please. Again, this is from a little bit further away. This is from our neighbor's stoop at 248 Henry Street. And you can see there's a little bit of the gate visible, but it's not very visible. Thank you. Next slide, please. We wanted to point out that this door has, as many gates do, it has a mostly solid block in the middle of it to kind of block the, I think it's a security thing, so somebody can't reach in and just take the door out. So we wanted you to know, if you're thinking about transparency, that in fact, the current gate, the gates on the street are all over the map, but our current gate is not entirely transparent by any means. Next slide, please. And this is, I think this is the last slide. We wanted to show you what this door will look like relative to the gate. And it's intended to, pay tribute to it and maybe more attractively recognize some of the architectural features of the home. That's it. Next slide. End of presentation. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions? Commissioner Ginsburg?
I have two questions that are related. One, did you look at by putting a piece of plexiglass on the back of the blade, they keep the transparency, but solve your problems?
We did, we had a contractor come over specifically for that purpose. And it would have been really unsightly, and it would have required a lot of different pieces. And it was not really clear how they would be attached and held together. So we didn't think it would really solve the problem of bringing mosquitoes.
And the second question is, with the door, you have glass in the top panel, but solid in the bottom panel. Would you make the bottom panel glass too, so that there was more transparency?
We could, and we had a design like that, and when we went to the community board, we presented both designs. We strongly prefer this one. This is the entrance to our main entrance to our home, and to us, a glass door is just not an appropriate entrance to a home. And because there are so many other solid doors in the area, we felt that our preference should be given consideration by the commission.
Thank you. Commissioner Copeland? Commissioner Chu?
What is the age and status of that gate? Is there existing? Do you know?
We don't know that.
It predates us, so we don't really.
We don't know, and you can't really tell from the historic photographs. I think a lot of the gate collection, I've done a lot of gate peering in the last year, and they're really, really varied. I think, and I look at the Gilded Age and I look at their entrance on the garden level and I say, do they have a gate or do they not have a gate?
Yeah.
But I think that this one, it could be from the 1840s. In terms of the condition, I will say that there is rusting on the metal at this point, and it is not as in as good shape as it was, I'm sure, many years ago.
Yeah, I think it's clear that it's a historic decorative gate.
Yeah.
I think we had this discussion with window grills not too long ago as well. Some of these houses did originally come with them, but they were often catalog pieces, not custom to the house. Some owners added them or removed them over time, surely. So while this could be original for this building, it also might not be, or it came decades after the house was built. Historic fabric, yes, but original, unclear.
Any other questions? Okay, let's see if there's anybody that would like to speak on this item. Is there anybody in the room who would like to speak? Noting that there isn't, let me turn it over to Elizabeth Lee to see if we have any remote testimony.
Those joining via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. You'll be promoted to panelist, after which we ask you to unmute, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker will be Judy Stanton.
Judy Stanton, speaking for the Brooklyn Heights Association. We support this application. We suggest that future applications of this type that come before the commission should include complete drawings of the proposed installation, including the door frame. The entryways under stoops are very idiosyncratic. Whether a door replacing a gate in this kind of opening will look appropriate or not depends in large part on its frame and installation. It's difficult for the commissioners and the public to make a determination without seeing the full picture. Thank you.
The next speaker will be Christina Conroy.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Christina Conroy for the Victorian Society in New York. Now, we think replacing the iron gate with a door is appropriate in this case. We think the gate was likely salvaged and added later because it doesn't fit the opening well. In fact, we're not sure these understoop openings always had gates originally. However, the proposed door needs significant changes. It looks like a square peg trying to fit into a round hole. The door frame, which isn't shown but needs to be, should follow the curve of the opening, and the door within the frame should follow the same curve. The applicant's presentation shows how this should be done at 222 Henry Street. The proposed configuration of the door with two square panels is awkward and stylistically incongruous. The areaway fence used as a model for the proposed grille is a likely alteration, probably early 20th century. Any ironwork should match that on the basement windows, which looks original. Thank you, Commissioners.
The next speaker will be Emma Bartley.
Hello, my name is Emma Bartley, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Historic Districts Council. HDC had questioned the necessity of replacing the existing door because of the plates that was already on the metal gate. We wondered if that could be extended instead of outright replacing the entire door. We also said that if the gate does need to be replaced with an entirely new one, that the ironwork should match that on the historic grills over the basement windows. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, enough for the record, RT recommends approval.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any final questions? Okay, let's go ahead and close the hearing. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I wanted to
Yeah.
address one of the
Yes.
points if I could. Actually two of the points. One, this door does follow the opening. I guess you can't entirely see it, but it is not a square opening. It is a right angle on the left side and it is curved on the right side. And I don't know if we have a better photograph of that. This is the first time that's come up, but it is not a square opening. It is shaped exactly the same way the door is. That's one point. And the other point is that if we could go back to a slide that shows the stairs going, the wrought iron going up the stairs, that the design that is in the fence is already reflected in the stairs on the stoop, the wrought iron. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. So if there aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead and close the hearing. Commissioner May, would you make a motion to close the hearing? Thank you, Commissioner.
Second.
That. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Commissioner Chu, would you like to start this discussion?
Sure. I think that the case for having a door here at this location, I think is appropriate. I think that that is a condition that has been approved and I've seen houses. In terms of the detailing, I would agree with Victorian Society's comment about design or the elevation of the door. I think that you could have a solid panel door, but I think that what feels awkward is the square window with the arched door that with the comment that was raised. So I think that for me, it could either be a full light, but reflecting the arc there, if you wanted to put the glass in there, and then with the grating that was appropriate to work with staff. Or honestly, I would be okay with an opaque solid dark door that just was set back from the base of the stucco or the stoop so that it was recessed and felt like a darker area within the opening. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson?
I can support this application. I just think that they should sit with staff and go over the details. Door frame, door configuration, and real design for accuracy. And for historical accuracy.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Goldberg?
Thanks. Yeah, I think the door is an appropriate intervention. I agree with Stephen that the window should follow the curve of the door. Simply from a constructional perspective, the rails of this custom-made door are going to have a weak point, right, where that corner meets or gets close to the radius. It's just not going to be a strong door. And if it is a custom door, yeah, he's already cutting the curve once. Cutting it again will not be a big deal. Cutting glass to the curve will not be a big deal. But if they want to do a solid panel door, that's also okay. I think it will be set back because it's going to be at the bottom of those steps anyway. The further it's set in, the better.
Thank you. Should we? Yep. Okay, Commissioner Mann?
I concur with Commissioner Goldblum and
Commissioner Gifford?
I concur with Commissioner True. I think the glass panels should be the full door minus the wood frame with then and I also agree with Commissioner Goldblum that the glass should be curved. But I can support this with those caveats.
So are you saying that you would also support the solid?
No, I want the glass. And they can work with staff to work that out.
So you want a full glass or you want partial glass? It's fine.
Full glass.
Full glass.
It really said full. I gave it that.
I prefer that option to keep the transparency that is there now with the screen.
So then you don't have the votes for a full solid.
Correct.
You might.
Or
They can come back.
Yeah.
More commissioners.
Yeah, or,
Since we have Commissioner.
well,
Chen here,
yeah,
we just-
maybe,
okay.
yeah.
So,
yeah, no problem.
Commissioner Chen, this is an application to replace the ironwork gate that you see here on the right image, which is the access under the stoop of a row house. With a new door, the homeowners have expressed that they've been having issues with rodents and pests, and they would like to have a more secure, solid door to prevent entry. So the proposal, as you can see, is a wood door on the left with one light on the top with ironwork that reflects the ironwork of the stoop. And they follow the curvature of the opening, the existing opening, at least for the framing of the door itself. And have a panel at the base. So the discussion thus far has been consensus of support for replacing the gate with a door. However, some commissioners were comfortable with either doing a full light, the full glazed door just with wood framing on the outside. Others were comfortable with the door being completely solid with no light, but there was not support for the door as exactly designed now. So the question for you is if you would support only if you're okay with the door being there at all, only a full light door, or are you okay with that or a solid door?
What's the split so far?
We have five that would go for either or. So if you're comfortable with either or, that would be 6.
I will be the 6th one.
Okay,
And
okay,
I'll change my,
so,
the job.
Either or.
okay. So Stephen, are you comfortable reading that?
Sure,
It would be with modifications with the 2 options.
if they choose to go, yeah, that-
Working with staff.
okay. In the case of LPC 25-11643-246 Henry Street, Brooklyn Heights, District of Greek Revival Style row house built in 1846. Application is to replace the gate with the door under the stoop. Note that the building style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Brooklyn Heights Historic District. I recommend approval with modifications, finding that the existing iron gate is a standards to design typical buildings of this age and style, and its removal will not eliminate any architectural feature of exceptional craftsmanship. That the streetscape features a variety of conditions, including buildings with removed stoops, therefore the installation of a solid door under stoop opening will not disrupt the continuity of the streetscape, that the installation will be only obliquely visible at the side of the stoop and within a fenced areaway, and that the design of the wood door includes partial glazing and ironwork reflecting the design of other ironwork present in the area and will maintain some transparency, sorry.
That'll be corrected with the recommendations.
Yeah, and recommend that the applicant work with staff to, on the door details itself. That the door is to reflect the arched opening of the stoop entryway, and that the door be a full light glass panel within a wood frame, dark wood frame. And that the ironwork be, that the applicant work with staff to determine the right ironwork detailing in front of the glass.
Right, we'll work with staff on all of the detailing and location within the opening, and then the options are either a full solid wood door or a fully glazed door.
Solid wood panel.
Thank you.
If it is glazed door, then it needs the grading detail in front of it, correct? Or I just want to make sure we're clear here.
That wasn't discussed.
Yeah.
I think that could be something if the applicant
Okay.
wishes to pursue that, that would be consistent with what the staff rules
What
would
was
allow in
that
other instances.
on that? Okay. Yep.
Okay, Commissioner Goldblum, would you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Mark, will you call the vote?
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Chu.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg. Nay. Commissioner Goldblum.
Aye.
Commissioner Jefferson. Aye. Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
6 in favor and 1 opposed, the motion passed.
Okay, that's been approved with my.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you. Let's move
Hope
to
the
the
heat
next.
gets back on.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now move to the next item. It's public hearing item number 2, LPC 26-0509. An application for a certificate of appropriateness in the borough of Brooklyn, block 195, lot 19, 164 Dean Street in the Warren Hill Historic District. This is an Italian style row house built in 1851 to 52, and the application is to construct a rear yard addition. Just so the next slide, you have 32 things.
Hello, my name is Josh Fuller. I'm here with Ben Herzog, and I'm here with the homeowners of the home at 164 Dean Street. We have Robert Blake and Carol Corden, and Robert's going to give a brief introduction.
Good morning. I want to thank you for this opportunity to tell you about our wonderful home at 164 Dean Street. When Carol and I bought our house in 1989, we discovered through research that we were only the 5th owners of the house over the nearly 150 years after it was built by William Alexander in 1852. We were attracted to the house by its rich and intact architectural detail. And we spent the year 1989 removing lead pipes, installing new systems, making the house habitable while protecting its architectural integrity. And we've occupied the house for the past 36 years, committed to that same principle of protection and stewardship. We're now approaching our 80s, and we want to extend the same opportunity to our daughter, Julia, and her growing family. Carol's mother lived in our ground floor apartment for 10 years after we moved in, and now our plan is for Carol and me to move down to the garden level, while Julia's family occupies the upper triplex. In the one-story extension at the rear of the garden level will provide just enough living space to make the space comfortable while not unduly intruding on the shared open space. As we see it, this is a win not only for our family, but for the Boerum Hill Historic District and the architectural heritage of New York City. We will continue to preserve the integrity of the house while also fostering the multi-generational living that contributes to neighborhood stability and community cohesiveness. We come to this project with lifetimes of professional commitment to neighborhood and historic preservation. Carol's career spanned leadership positions in neighborhood housing services, HPD, and as director of New Destiny Housing, where she built permanent affordable housing for homeless domestic violence survivors in all 5 boroughs. I retired a few years ago after 45 years as a tenured university professor of urban planning. We are aligned with the LPC's values, and we've lived those values on Dean Street for almost 40 years. We get it intellectually, professionally, and practically, and we're confident that our proposed renovations reflect and are consistent with our lifelong commitment. So thank you for your attention, and now Shai will walk you through our proposal.
Hello, everybody. All right, so this house is on Dean Street between Point and Bond in the Boerum Hill Historic District. You can see the text photo here. We're doing very, very minimal work to the front facade. I think it's only a doorbell. But what we're really here, to talk about is the rear addition, and the reason for that, if we go to the next slide, is that fewer than 50% of houses on the block have rear additions. So for that, because of that rule, that's why we're here to present. You can see that there are a bunch of decks, which are in green, but those don't count. The additions are shown in yellow, orange, and red, and most of them are 2 or 3 stories. What we're proposing is 1 story, and there are a couple of additions that are deeper than what we are proposing, but many are about 12 feet and 2 stories or higher. What we're proposing is 1 story at 14-foot depth, which preserves a bit more than 37 feet of rear yard. So we're still keeping the minimum of 30 feet of the rear yard plus some extra. Next slide, please. Oh, and also wanted to mention that this donut is closed and there's no view of the rear yard from any public space. So we're also proposing condensers on the roof, which will not be visible from any public way, and those are being reviewed at staff level. Next slide, please. So here we have elevations of the front and rear, and an elevation from the side of the addition. So you can see the third from the left is the proposed, where we'll have the 1-story rear addition with a new deck, new railings, stairs down, and enlarged rear opening at the parlor level. Next slide, please. And some elevations of the proposed windows. They're not coming down all the way to the ground. So, we're trying to minimize the amount of light coming into the rear yards. We know that that can be a concern as well. Next slide. And we have here the demo and the construction plans, and mainly to see the plan of the basement apartment, which shows the proposed layout for Bob and Carol. If we go to the next slide. maybe you go back one. All right, let's go forward. And next slide, okay. We'll first go to this section, so you can see here the one floor rear addition here. Next slide, please. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so in the middle here is the proposed basement with the rear addition. So that will in fact become their living room. So that's what determined the 14 feet as the minimum like comfortable living room space for them. So I think that concludes the presentation here. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions? Is there anybody in the room who would like to speak on this item? Noting that there isn't, let me turn it over to Elizabeth, please, see if we have any remote testing.
Those joining me in Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. Please include a finalist, which we ask you to unmute and state your name for the record and your name. The first speaker will be Emma Barley.
Hello, my name is Emma Bartley, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Historic Districts Council. While the proposed massing of this project is appropriate and appreciated, HDC found that the pattern of fenestration, the fenestration itself, and the pattern of the masonry opening seems to have little relationship to the existing windows above, and may need to be revisited to better match the neighboring row houses. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, I'll note for the record that for the community board 2 recommends.
Thank you. Commissioners, any final questions?
I have a curious question. Your addition is so marvelous. We had 2 feet more than we meet the code. Why decide to go 14 feet? I think that.
What's wrong with you?
Why not make it as deep as possible? Well, I think they like the backyard and having the space in the backyard. And also, you know, this felt appropriate for the size of the apartment, you know?
It's just.
You're surprised? Anything.
Did you guys want to respond to any comments?
In terms of the rear windows, we do have them centered on the windows above. So we are trying to maintain symmetry at the rear facade with that. So it's symmetrical there. And we understand that like there isn't symmetry on the parlor floor, but that's really working with the kitchen layout. But we did try to maintain at least the symmetry on the windows.
Thank you. Yeah. Any final questions? Okay, so let's go ahead and close the hearing. Commissioner Jefferson, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So move.
Commissioner Chu, would you second that?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Commissioner Ginsburg, would you like to start this discussion?
This, I think, is a fairly easy one. It's a modest proposal and appropriate, and I can approve it.
Thank you. Commissioner Chen?
I agree.
Good, Goldblum's, okay, Chu,
Agreed.
fantastic. Would you like to read the motion?
Yeah, I just have to read it.
Okay.
Is there something? I've got it. With regards to LPC 26050981 164 Dean Street, Boron Hill Historic District, an Italianate style row house built in 1851-52. Application is constructing rear yard addition. I note that I note that the building style, scale, material, and details are among the features that the special architectural and historic character of the Borum Hill Historic District. I recommend approval, finding that the proposed work will not damage or eliminate any significant architectural features, that the proposed rear yard addition will not be visible from any public thoroughfare, that the one-story addition with deck on top is modest in scale and will not overwhelm adjacent buildings, that the simple design and materiality of the rear addition featuring punched windows, cast stone coping, and metal guardrail and stairs will be in keeping with the scale, character, and materials found at rear yards and additions within the block throughout the district, and that the proposed work will not detract from the special architectural and historic building of the Borum Hill Historic District.
Thank you. Commissioner Chen, would you second that motion? Thank you. And John, will you call the vote?
Yes, Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen. Aye. Commissioner Chu.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg. Aye. Commissioner Goldblum. Aye. Commissioner Jefferson.
Aye.
6 in favor, none opposed, motion passes.
That's been approved. Great, thank you. Thanks very much. Let's move to the next item.
Right, next item is public hearing item number 3. LPC 26-01351. An application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Brooklyn, block 1930, lot 25, 286 DeKalb Avenue, with Brooklyn Hill Historic District. This is a Romanesque revival style row house designed by Montrose W. Morris and both agreed to the application is to legalize the installation of windows without LPC permits.
Okay, Commissioners, the applicant has entered the hearing via Zoom. Valeska, you now have control of the presentation. You can advance the slides using your arrow keys or your mouse. Please state your name for the record and you may begin.
Okay, hello. My name is Valeska from WN Archcourt, the architects of 286 DeKalb. We are requesting for the legalization of windows installed without a landmark permit. The property is located at the Clinton Hill Historic District. The original landmark application didn't involve any work at the windows. The windows were replaced with black wood frame double hung windows, while the historic windows were single hung. From the streetscape, the windows appear to look like historic windows. There's visually no difference between single hung and double hung windows. The size of the windows remain the same and reads visually well with the neighboring buildings. The historic image of the facade shows the appearance of the original windows versus how the windows look prior to work in 2024. The current condition of the windows are black wood frame double hung, where someone passing by would not be able to distinguish the window type. The following slides will show close-ups of the window prior to any work completed and the current state of the windows. Here is the existing window of the basement. The completed work at the basement windows. The historic security bars are retained. Here are the existing windows at the first floor. And the current conditions at the first floor. These are the windows at the second floor, the existing condition, and the windows of the current state at the second floor. The window finish was done by the GC and they didn't know the difference between single and double hung. It was hard to tell by a non-professional, and double hungs are typically more available, so they installed double hung rather than single hung. Something to note is that at the third floor, the windows are black wood frame single hung due to the arch shape and the cost of the windows. Single hung arch shaped windows are cheaper compared to double hung arch shaped windows. And here's the after. Although these windows function as double hung, they are visually identical to single hung windows. Requiring the replacement of the windows would create financial and material waste. We received approval from the community board and we respectfully request for the legalization of these windows, as we hope that these windows continue to preserve the historic streetscape and that this condition aligns with the intent of landmark preservations. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions? Commissioner Ginsburg?
Why was this work done without first submitting it to the commission?
Yeah, that was because of the general contractor. They did not alert us that they were going to replace the windows, so we didn't know until we already received the warning letter from Landmark.
So the contractor went ahead and did the work without telling the owner and without asking for payment for this?
I believe they told the owners, and I think this is an issue that a lot of contractors were noticing, is that they see an existing window and they assume the existing condition is the historic condition, even though, you know, we provide the drawings to them. They see the photos. For some reason, I don't know if they ignore the photos or something, but we have been really strict now with our clients and telling them, you know, the existing condition and historic photos are two different things when it comes to preserving the facade of the building.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jefferson?
Did they go to the community board before they did this renovation of the window? They did not.
Can you repeat that?
Did you go to the community board?
Yes, we went to the community board and they gave us approval.
No, before.
Yes. Oh, for after these were installed or
they
prior
were
to
installed.
installation? Sorry?
Before they were.
Before they were installed? No. We
No.
went after.
Any other questions? Okay, is there anybody in the room that would like to speak on this item? Noting that there isn't, let me turn it over to Elizabeth Lee for the testimony.
Those joining via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. You'll be promoted to panelist, after which we ask you to unmute, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. The first speaker will be John Graham.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Graham for the Victorian Society in New York. We object to the retroactive approval of the front windows at 286 DeKalb Avenue. The greatest concern we have is that this will set a precedent not only for the other units in this historic building, but across the city. The purpose of the landmarks law is to ensure that preservation laws are adhered to and upheld. Today's applicant showed a flagrant disregard for this purpose and the law of New York. While the changes here are seemingly minor, approving them is not. Allowing people to alter historic buildings and seek forgiveness later is not what the spirit of the law is. Each time an applicant is forgiven, their flagrancy, each time an applicant is forgiven their flagrancy, the power of the law is further eroded. We suggest the Commission deny this request and thereby remind this applicant, along with everyone in the city, that the preservation laws exist for a reason and there are consequences when it is not followed. Regarding appropriateness, it matters little that the windows had already been replaced once or that the new replacement might be slightly better. We maintain that the historic configuration of windows is important and reflects decisions by the original architect that should be respected. Here, Montrose Morris's decision was to use single light sash below transoms at the parlor and second floor for this unusual building. It's ironic that at a time when modern single light windows have made a comeback and are being installed in all sorts of inappropriate situations, the opportunity to use them here correctly was not taken. Finally, I must add that the statement of the applicant that there's no visual difference between single light windows and double hung is nonsense. You can see it just by looking at the adjacent house in this row. Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, I'll note for the record that Brooklyn Community Board 2 recommends approval.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to respond to the comments?
Yes, I would say even though that the windows were installed as double hung, the neighboring windows, although hard to see, already have double hung or single hung where you can see the transom or the frame. So we thought that even though they are double hung, there's a better maintenance purpose when it comes to double hung and for air ventilation. And we hope that the commissioners can give us this approval.
Any final questions, commissioners? Okay, let's go ahead and close the hearing. Commissioner Jefferson, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So,
Thank you. Commissioner Chu, would you second that? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Commissioner Chen, would you like to start this discussion?
As Commissioner as Commissioner Ginsburg correctly pointed out, and as in the testimony, it's troublesome that this trend of doing alterations without LPC permit. But I think that also the comments about that historically there's been not the double hung, and I tend to agree with that view. So I would like to see what the rest of the commissioner suggests.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldblum.
Yeah, I'm with Victoria and John on this one. This is such a cool building or set of buildings. And it's a really wonderful example of the style of architecture, and it's right at street level. The first two floors, the cellar, basement windows are fine, but the first two floors should be as historically shown. Uniformity on this building is more important than on many others, and the right uniformity. That should be the way.
Mr. Goldblum, did you have a comment on the top floor windows, the arch heads?
With the arch heads, I think they're fine.
As is double hung, but they're not the unequal sashes that you see here. They're equal in the current condition, but they are more similar.
I think that's acceptable. I think that's acceptable.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson.
About last night, does the replacement windows match the original window detail? Staff to confirm. And I've learned now that it does not. So I think it's time. You have to replace it.
To single hung, all the floors?
The staff could decide what should it be, and they should install.
I think that's not quite the way it would work in this situation. It doesn't meet the staff rules. That's why it's before you. So we've sort of, in the applicant section, tried to point out where the differences are. So pretty much across the board, these historic windows were single hung. And you can see in the historic photo on the left that there are stained glass transoms at the parlor and the floor above. And then large single sashes were historically there below that. The applicants had installed double hung windows in that lower portion when they were originally born.
Another criteria they said that they did not, they should do.
Okay, I think the clarification, since we don't have as many commissioners as usual, is do you feel it appropriate to have flexibility at locations such as the basement where there are security bars and smaller openings, or up at the top floor as per the discussion we had with Commissioner Coleman?
That's rationalized. I would go with Commissioner Ginsburg.
Commissioner Chu.
Yeah, I think that the new single hung window should be at the parlor and second floors to match the historic condition. And I would also say to work with staff, because I'm just in the pictures, I'm noticing the trim liner is white, and that's not acceptable. All the parts need to match black. Yes.
And Commissioner Ginsburg.
I agree with my fellow commissioners, and I would add that the owner should not have paid for these windows if they hadn't agreed to having them. They weren't on the drawings. Right? Because if they hadn't paid for them, they could go to the contractor and said this was work that was done without approval, without landmarks approval, and you gotta fix it. But that may be water under the bridge, but I agree with my fellow commissioners that the 2 floors should be replaced.
Thank you. So, Commissioner Check, do you feel comfortable reading that with the modifications?
Sure.
With the-
We're just gonna add the
Yeah,
trim
I
line
think
to the condition choose condition,
Yeah.
it could be added.
I'm working with the staff.
Yeah, okay.
Right, in the matter of LPC 26-01351, 286 DeKalb Avenue, Clinton Hill Historic District. The application is to legalize the installation of windows without LPC permit. Noting the building's style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Clinton Hill Historic District. I recommend approval with modifications, finding that the windows that were removed were modern windows, therefore the replacement did not eliminate any historic features. That the decorative wood enframelments and brick molds were retained and repaired, and the new wood window sashes match the historic in terms of materials and details. That the basement level windows are screened by historic window security grills and areaway fence. And that the legally are largely obscuring the change in configuration and operation from single hung to double hung 1/1, and that the 1/1 double hung segments arch had the windows at the 3rd floor recall the historic arch head transom and single hung window configuration shown in the historic tax photos, and their location above a heavy cornice renders them less prominent features of the facade when viewed from across the street. However, I find that the building was built as part of a group of 5 row houses with monumental sheer pediment, making consistent fenestration important in the overall composition of the row. That the double hung 1/1 windows at the parlor and 2nd floor installed within the tripartite openings disrupt the continuity of the row and distract from the original design of the window assemblies. And that the dark finish of the new windows does not match the reddish finish of the window assembly frames, further diminishing the overall fenestration. Therefore, I recommend that the new single hung windows be installed at the parlor and 2nd floors to match the historic conditions, and that all windows and trim be painted with a matching finish and in consultation with the staff.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldblum, would you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. John, will you call the vote?
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Chu.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg, aye, Commissioner Goldblum, Commissioner Jefferson.
Aye.
6 in favor, 9 opposed, motion passed.
Thank you. That's been approved with modifications. Please continue to work with staff. Let's move to the next item.
And the next item is public hearing item number 4, LPC 26-05390, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, Lot 1, Lot 10, 309 Clayton Road in the Governor's Island Historic District. This is the Chapelville survey of 3.2. And the application is to construct a deck, modify openings, and install poles for seasonal canopy installations. Abby, this is going to be a remote presentation if I change from you later.
Okay, great. I am going to promote them to panelist. Okay, can the team tell me who would like to run the slides, please?
Lindsay Smith.
Okay. Lindsay, you now have control of the presentation. You just need to click on your screen and then you can advance the slides using your arrow keys for your mouse. Whoever needs to start, please state your name for the record and then you may begin.
Good morning, Will Johnson from the Trust for Governors Island. Hi everyone. Good morning. My name is Will Johnson, VP Facilities and Parks at the Trust for Governors Island. I'm going to provide a quick intro to the project and then hand it over to Lindsay. The project what we're going to present is Building 309 on Governors Island, and the Trust is looking to renovate the building and expand its current use. Currently, the building is used as an event space as well as for community programming. This is a non-contributing building within our historic district. It's a former chapel formerly known as Our Lady of the Sea, and was originally built by the U.S. Army about 1941 and subsequently used by the U.S. Coast Guard until their departure in 96. The chapel was formerly deconsecrated and has not been used as a place of worship since the late 90s. And about 2 years ago, the Trust completed a phase 1 interior renovation, a very light touch on the interior that included lighting upgrades and an AV system, things like that. As of today, we've hosted about 100 events in this space, and it's used by many of our tenants for free programming, including the Harbor School on the island and other community partners. And we'll go through this. As you can see from the images, when we get to that point, there's a temporary mural. It was a commissioned work by Chantel Martin, and we also plan to replace this mural in the future. And just for information, we'll submit this to LPC under our seasonal activation package later in the spring. So just as a little backup, we've received unanimous approval from Community Board 1 in December.
Sorry.
Can you hear me? Yeah. And the project was submitted to the State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, earlier this month. And then now I can turn this over to Lindsay Smith of Smith Miller Hawkinson Architects.
Thank you, Will, and thank you, commissioners, for taking a look at the project today that we've been working on with the Trust at Building 309 for the addition of the deck and the reactivation of this deconsecrated church. I'm going to try to advance the slide.
There we go.
There we go. This is, I think Will did the project overview. This is an image of the building taken in the summer months. And as Will mentioned, the mural is a seasonal installation and not part of what we're talking about today, but that the Trust would be bringing back any changes to the mural with their seasonal package.
Thank you.
The project scope for the revitalization of Building 309 includes an application for a certificate of occupancy and place of assembly permits to permanently use this building as a gathering space on Governor's Island. The scope also includes a new deck, the addition of gutters and downspouts. Interior renovations also include additional restrooms, including ADA accessible restrooms, the conversions of 2 windows into exterior doors to access the new deck, increased ADA accessibility indoors, and the addition of a drinking fountain and new janitor closet. We're also installing a new fire alarm and sprinkler systems. As Will mentioned, Community Board 1 we met with in December and received unanimous approval from their landmarks committee. And then in terms of next steps, we're here today with you to share the project and are looking at construction in the spring of 26. This is a presentation sheet from the cover of the Governor's Island Preservation and Design Manual Part 3, which was commissioned by the U.S. General Services Administration in January of 2003. It identified historic buildings on Governor's Island and categorized them according to their significance. Building 309 is a Category 3 property, which means it is non-contributing. Those buildings in Category 3 are non-contributing elements within the National Historic Landmark and the NYC LPC Governor's Island Historic District. It went on to say specifically about this building, the chapel at 309, that there are no exterior or interior elements of the building that should be preserved. This building may be demolished. So instead of demolishing the building, the trust is proposing the revitalization of the building and use of the space for gathering for public events, both hosted by Governor's Island and their partners. This is the historic photo from the time that the building was built. 1942 is the date that we have for the building. You can see the structure with the steeple at front. There have been some additions that you'll note were added later, a front vestibule and shutters. We'll toggle to a current photo, which we've aligned with the historic photo so that you can see the changes that have been made. This is the view from Clayton Road, and I'll show you on a subsequent slide the access that this sits at the end of. So in order to orient you to the location of where the chapel building 309 sits on Governor's Island, it's here in blue. The red line outlines the historic district, and we're at the southern end of the historic district at the end of Clayton Road, the access on Clayton Road. I'm sorry if it's going a little fast. It's a little faster than I'm used to with the arrows. So you can see the building located at the end of Clayton Road. Access would be from Yankee Pier, which you can see here to the right, coming around these existing buildings that are in the southern end of the historic district to the site. We're also on the parade ground with views of Fort Jay and views of Manhattan beyond the fort. You also see Hay Road as it accesses Clayton Road to that end view of the chapel. These are views from other angles. The view at the top of the page is from the north, looking to the south at this long facade of the chapel structure. The bottom image is the view from the southeast. These were both taken recently and show the existing conditions in winter. The existing site plan includes the chapel and a number of existing paths in the landscape, as well as some significant trees that you'll see. Our design has been focused on avoiding the trees and working within that setting so that the landscape is unchanged around the building. The existing paths are mostly recent and have been modified over the years. They're not original. Our proposal includes a new deck on the north side, northwest side of the building, which allows for the event space inside the building to expand in good weather out onto the deck and to take advantage of views of the parade ground and of Manhattan beyond. These are views more recently of those existing paths, which you can see are in poor repair and have been replaced at different times as needed to support work on Governor's Island. This is a view of the proposed interior with the main event space and the former chapel space. You can see the addition of 3 unisex water closets at the southern end, along with an ADA accessible water closet, some new mechanical space and back of house space to support events. The 2 new doors at existing window locations are shown here, providing direct access in seasonal weather onto the deck. This is the elevation as included in the application to the Department of Buildings of the existing elevation. You can see the shutters and the vestibule that I mentioned that were added and not original to the building. This is the proposed construction of the deck. From the drawing set, you can see the deck is located here. We're also showing 4 posts to support a seasonal canopy and seasonal light installation for different events in Building 309. These are the 2 doors that are proposed, an aluminum white storefront with transom windows within the space of the existing large-scale double hung assemblies. This is the rear facade of the building. It's a mechanical space. We are proposing a new louver at the location of this existing opening to support ventilation for the project. This is a more detailed drawing of the deck showing railings, which I'll give you a bit more detail on in the next slide. Railings and stairs, which provide direct access and focus the visitors towards the view of Manhattan. We're also showing a number of movable benches, which can support different occupations of the space. These are details of the deck and the railing. The railing that's proposed is the DeKalb stainless steel mesh with a cedar post, a cedar rail on top of galvanized steel posts. Our goal here is to be as transparent as possible and to minimize the appearance of the railing on the deck. These are views that we have rendered with the proposed deck and posts. You can see, you'll see view A here. This is that west facade view, which we showed earlier with the view of the front facade. I'll toggle back and forth between. This is existing, and you can see the deck appearing at left. You can note that the trees are unchanged by this and that we've really worked to stay away from the trees in their root area. And you can also see the transparent railings, minimizing the appearance of the deck. It should also be noted that all of these proposals are reversible should there be a goal to restore the building in another way in the future. This is the view of the north facade, which we showed earlier in winter. This is a green view in summer so that you can see the relationship of the proposal to the existing landscape and trees. I'll just toggle back and forth. When you add in the deck, you can see the minimal railings provide really limited impact to the facade, and you can see the 4 posts in this condition without the seasonal canopy. And then we have several images where the seasonal canopy, this is an inflatable structure, which we're working on the design for, which the posts are to hold up, which can provide shade during the summer months and activation of the space in a way that brings a certain level of excitement to the events happening in the Building 309. There's a night view where the same post can be used to install lighting for a active night scene on the deck. This is a view closer in of the deck and the posts. You are seeing the shutters still here. We have not made a formal proposal yet to remove the shutters, but we do believe that they should be removed. And this is the close-up view with the seasonal canopy, the inflatable structure. And this is an image of a similar inflatable structure that was installed temporarily at Columbia University in 2021 in Avery Plaza, just showing that relationship of this innovative canopy structure within a historic context. These are the materials that we're proposing for the project. One is the galvanized metal of the railing posts. 2 is a cedar decking in an aged configuration, an aged state. 3 is the cedar deck in the original state. 4 is the possibility that we'll be working with our contractor on whether we should be using a Trex product in lieu of the cedar. 5 is the aluminum storefront, which will be in white to match the facade of the existing aluminum siding, which is obviously not original to the building, but the state we find the building in today. And then 7 is the Jacob stainless steel mesh, which enhances the transparency of the railings. And then in terms of a timeline, as I mentioned earlier, we received unanimous approval from CB1. We're here today and looking forward to getting this project underway in the spring of 2026. I think that's our last slide. I'm happy to reverse any slides if there are questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Chen, did you have a question?
Could you clarify, are the shutters to remain or are they going to be removed?
We would like to propose their removal. Our current application to DOB does not yet request their removal, but we would like to request that they be removed.
And the thinking and the rationale behind removal is what?
That they're not original to the building. If I go back to that front facade, original historic photo in 1941, you'll see that they were not in the original design.
Right, Commissioner Ginsburg and then Commissioner Goldman.
So I have sort of two questions. The handicap ramp at the front is needed, but is not, it looks like a temporary metal ramp. Did you look at trying to do some sort of more permanent ramp similar to what you're doing with the deck in terms of finishing?
This was installed with the temporary applications for a place of assembly. And in order to align the project with available funds, it was thought to keep this in place.
And my second question is, it looks like there is an art design all over the building, which you haven't mentioned. What are, and something indicating it may be seasonal. What are the plans for that and what is it now?
Will, do you want to take that?
Sure. Yes, it's currently. I think I had mentioned in the beginning briefly. This is a installation by Chantal Martin that was done a few years ago, and we do plan to replace this mural with a different mural. And prior to the installation, of course, we'll submit this for review by LPC in our seasonal activation package.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldblum?
Thanks. What's going on under that piece of plywood above the entry? Yeah.
On the piece of plywood here?
Yeah.
I am not sure what that is. When we came to the project, that plywood was in place. I don't know if it was if it's covering up something. We don't have any images from the 70s period when this was installed.
Okay.
I don't know if the trust has any feedback on that.
No, I'm not aware of what's underneath there right now.
Okay. Might be good to look.
Yes.
And for your new doors on the side, it looks like you're intending for the transoms to line up with the upper light of the adjacent windows. Is that the general intent?
That is the general intent.
Yet your transoms don't show a divided light kind of system, which is what the other windows show. And nor do your drawings show the divided lights. Is it your intention to replace all the windows with 1/1 windows?
Correct. We are not proposing divided lights, given that this is a new insertion and clearly not a replication of the existing fabric of the building.
Right, but your existing window typical shows a window that I can't, at least from our screen, it's hard to discern if you are showing divided lights, and it looks from the photos that there are divided lights.
There are divided lights in the existing buildings. We're not replacing the existing, there are divided lights in the existing windows. We're not replacing the existing windows.
So you're gonna
Just
have
the,
divided lights and then not divided. For the new.
I think those divided lights that are existing too, Lindsay, are also colored. They're like, it's almost like a faux stained glass.
correct. Let's see if we can see that in one of the photos. They're a pastel color.
Painted on wood or painted on the glass or?
The glass is a pastel tint of varying colors of yellow, blue, and pink, I believe.
The glass is?
The glass is correct.
But the muntins are wood
The
or
the muntins are wood and white.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, Commissioner Jefferson and Commissioner Chu?
So if you look at page 24, the existing facade, you see the shadow line where the building hits the ground.
That's the deck.
This is what the
Page 20, is it page
It's 25.
24, go to 24.
Back.
Go back.
We're going back. I'm having a little trouble hearing the speaker.
Back one. Yeah, there you go. Speak up.
You see how the building.
Page 24.
There you go.
Okay, go right
You
there.
see how the building hits the ground, the shadow line, the thin shadow line that's existing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you go to page 25, where you added the deck, you see where the shadow is changed? And I'm wondering, just a design decision, why not keep that shadow line on the deck similar to what you had on the building? That way you would have the existing building and the new deck would hit the ground at the same shadow line.
Are you talking about alignment of the shadow lines?
Yeah, well, right now the deck, the deck has a deep shadow. So if you put a fascia on it, you could create the shadow line of the building.
Yes, an alignment with the shadow line. The current the deck is set at finished floor to align with the interior in terms of maintaining ADA accessibility. And the fascia, in terms of its alignment with the lower edge of the aluminum siding, that's something we could look at right now. Are you speaking about alignment or depth of the overhang?
But the way the existing building hits the ground in a certain way, correct?
Yes, and the grade slopes away.
Right. The shadow line is really beautifully set. This new deck, the shadow line varies on the deck. So I'm saying, why not put a fascia on the deck, or a piece of, so that the alignment, so the shadow would seem similar to what was there before. Because right now it just moved up and down. It's functional. It's a functional shadow, it's not an aesthetic shadow.
We do have a recess. The deck itself is projected forward in a similar way that the aluminum siding is set on the deck. The earth slopes a bit down to the left on this facade when you see it without. And it's been backfilled to some degree, but when the deck comes forward, I think you're in a different relationship to the grade than you would be at the shadow line of the overhang of the aluminum siding to the concrete foundation.
But your concept is that the deck, because it's a different language than the building, is
Correct.
to be viewed differently.
Yes, it is a new installation and it does not intend to replicate the design of the language of the building.
Correct. But the way it hits the ground, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's fine.
Commissioner Chu?
Yeah, I just have a couple questions. I do want to say that I think this is a really cool project. I think it's a very exciting adaptive reuse of this military chapel that wasn't even deemed as contributing. Great project. I love the deck. I love the whole flexible event space use of it. The questions I have are, number one, related to ADA. It is a big, generous deck and it's a great gathering space. Did you consider doing a ramp to the deck so that it doesn't require you to enter the building to use the deck as an ADA path?
We did consider a deck in several iterations. The deck, as you can, a ramp, as you can imagine, took up a fair amount of space and limited the gathering area on the porch or the deck. The space is intended to be used for those attending events inside the building. As we understand it in terms of the trust use, it's not intended to invite the public up from the deck, that it's really about using those stairs as a place to be and look at the view. So we weighed the pros and cons and the ultimate intended use of the space, and decided that more gathering space outside that was aligned with everyone entering the building, both able-bodied and those that might be disabled or in a wheelchair. Everyone would be asked to enter the front of the building.
Okay. The second question is the intent of the is this a Smith Miller Hawkinson installation? I think it's cool, but is that the proposal, or would there be other art potentially hung from the poles that are of other artists? Is that, and that would come in as a separate application?
So this proposal for the inflatable is what we've been working on with the trust as part of the project. The lighting is another potential installation that the trust might consider. This inflatable would go up for several months of the year and would be presented, as we understand it, by the trust with the seasonal activation package on an annual basis.
Okay. And this is
and
just
it's yes, it is Smith Miller Hawkinson's design, to answer your question.
Okay. Yeah, there was one image. I think it's an interesting project. I would just say there, you didn't show a view, but it would be kind of interesting what the lighting effect would be of this in the nighttime.
On the inflatable.
Yeah, so I don't know if you were thinking internally that that'd be exciting. Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ginsburg.
So your response to Commissioner Chu raises another question. If everyone's entering from the building, why do you have these nice big generous stairs off the deck?
We see it as an opportunity, a place for people to be and to, when you're to access the view and to occupy them from within the building as part of your experience at an event that's associated with the building.
And would you have to chain it off or something to prevent the public from walking up on it?
I think we would rather not do that. I don't know if there would be an issue for the trust if it was occupied by the public when it was not used for an event. I think we'd have to defer to Will and his team on that.
Yeah, I don't think programmatically we thought that through, but we are, we're here for the public, and I think, as Lindsay said, when it's not activated, I think that would be open for people to walk up.
Would you consider a ramp, Will, in this design?
I'm not gonna. I think I would like to. I'm coming into this project sort of midstream, so I'd really like to understand with leadership how we got exactly to that point. And I think Lindsay did make some mention of that process.
Yeah, I think our comments, or at least mine, is not rooted in the design. I think design is great. I just think it's about accessibility and
understood. Yeah. Okay.
Commissioner Goldblum.
I think we've had to talk about the commission's view of this particular building, and I think that was based on some language that was shown in an early slide. Maybe it would be good for Corey to tell us the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner Goldberg. Expecting some of these questions. It is interesting, this building, you know, there's the GSA design manual that was referenced by the trust and by the applicant that calls this building non-contributing. However, our designation report does not. It says it's vernacular style, and that was written, you know, decades ago. The manual was not something formally adopted by LPC, so we don't use that as sort of the last word. However, the commission has certainly considered the sort of assessments and findings of that manual and making certain decisions, one of which was in fact to demolish this building among a group of 5 or 6 others, I think in 2011. And one of the findings in that approval to demolish this building was that the building did not contribute to the Governor's Island Historic District. So kind of a de facto, this putting us in the same place. Just to kind of touch on that part of it. And I do think there may have been some misunderstandings between the trust and applicants and kind of like what that means for regulating this building. If the commission had already approved to demolish it, you know, maybe you could just do whatever you want. But in fact, that's not the case. And so I think it was brought up about the artwork that the trust intends to come forward with a more formal proposal before the commissioners for that. It may be that that ramp is also something that I'm not sure if the commission has approved it. It was sort of talked about as temporary and it looks that way, but that may need to come forward at another date. I think the applicants weren't prepared to discuss sort of the primary accessibility to the building at this time. And I also just note, because there were questions asked about the front of the building, that sort of protruding porch is not original to the church. I think maybe some of you may have seen it in historic photographs. It was extended outward quite a bit. And for Commissioner Goldbluth's question about the plywood, the designation photo shows something about cruciform out of clapboards or something similarly generic under that particular area, but I'm not sure if that's still there now. So that's sort of the background on the various things that we've talked about.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so noting that there isn't anyone who's outside of here, let me turn it over to
Concerning the instant please use the raise hand function. When you remind panelists that which we ask you to unmute, state your name for the record, and you have to speak. The first speaker will be John Graham.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Graham for the Victorian Society in New York. This testimony will relate both to 309 Clayton Road and the next project, 111 Andes Road. The Victorian Society does not typically comment on changes to buildings built in 1942 and 1934. We are doing so today because we feel these two proposals are part of a developing pattern whose long-term impact on the district isn't being considered. It should be. On July 22nd, 2025, the Commission approved a proposal for work at Building 19, which included a large deck and pergolas. Today, we're seeing a proposal at Building 309 for the addition of an equally large deck, fixed cedar benches, and a seasonal canopy. We are also seeing a proposal for large step decks at 111 Andes Road. Each of these projects could be considered a relatively minor change, but their cumulative effect and the very real possibility that more recreational facilities will be added to other buildings is anything but minor. Governor's Island was developed for one simple utilitarian purpose: to protect New York Harbor. The designation report states it very clearly. For nearly 2 centuries, the island has been in continuous military use. The longevity of the military presence has ensured that the historic character of the island has retained a remarkable integrity. Its historic buildings reflect that simplicity and integrity. But as new decks and pergolas and terraces and pavilions are added, there's a very real chance that that integrity will be lost. Now is the time to ask, how many recreational features are too many? Now is the time to look beyond individual applications. We urge the Commission and staff to do so and to open the discussion to the larger preservation community. Thank you, Commissioners.
Anyone else who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand function. So I don't know, for the record, that behind when we were on.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to respond to the comments?
Will, would you like to respond? I could speak about building 309 if you want to speak about the Governor's Island as a whole.
I don't necessarily have a response for that right now, but
I think our goal is for this building in particular, building 309, is to reactivate it in a way that makes it useful for the trust and for those visiting the island. And being outdoors in this space, in a place where we can provide shelter with a canopy, certainly activates the space, making it more usable for those at events and those in the public visiting this great recreational site.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any final questions? Okay, let's go ahead and close the hearing. Commissioner Chen, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
Suppose.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldblum, would you second that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Commissioner Chu, would you like to start this discussion?
Sure. I'm excited about this project. I think it is a great reuse of this chapel. And I do, only comment was about the accessibility to the porch. And I'd like the applicant to consider that as a use option that will make it more flexible for the future.
Thank you. And Commissioner Ginsburg?
I agree with Commissioner True's comment about accessibility, and although the building department doesn't enforce ADA, I could see an interpretation where it would be required by ADA, but that's beyond what we're doing. My other comment is a slight frustration that this is coming in piecemeal, and it would have been good if the shutters, the artwork, the shade structure had all been part of this application instead of coming back. But with that said, I think this is a good project. Will create more use for the building. I'm glad to see the building preserved, even if at one point we said it could be demolished.
Thank you. Commissioner Mang?
I concur with Commissioner Chu.
Thank you, Commissioner Chen.
I just want to echo all the commissioners' comments. I think that the being inside this building is a wonderful building. And love the symmetry, love the fun photo approach, and love the adaptive reuse. And the one thing I would do is I would think twice about taking out the shutters. I think would enhance the outside appearance, even though it doesn't date back to the original. But I would, I look forward to seeing this project, but it's a wonderful building. If we get a chance, you should go there.
Thank you. Commissioner Goldblum?
Thanks. I think this building is an interesting and important building as part of the historic district. It happens to take a place that is very, very visible from many vantage points on the island, as some of the photographs have shown. And it really speaks to the architecture of the district, which is military, simple, spare, dry, functional, aggressively functional. And I think that that's part of its interest. I think that the deck doesn't take away significantly from it, although I wish, for Gerardo's comments, that it tried a little harder to tie itself to the building that it was attaching itself to aesthetically as opposed to just functionally. It really does, it doesn't seem to have a lot of, in plan, it's a very interesting shape. But in elevation and as it would be experienced, I think it would be experienced rather, haphazardly. I don't think one perceives a strong relationship to the building that it's in front of, nor to the view that it is the axial terminus of. So I kind of wish that it were a little bit more interactive. I think that the intent of the doors is acceptable, but I think that the upper transoms should either remain the historic upper lights or to replicate them. I know it's kind of a sin to modern architecture to replicate historic details, but by that measure, we sin pretty much every hour on the hour. So I think that that would not be an unreasonable request to make. And I think it would maintain the uniformity of the facade a little bit more effectively than what's shown. I have a concern about the seasonal canopy as well. It looks really cool in the renderings. Photograph in front of Avery looked a little less cool, kind of like an underinflated vacuum bag. But you know, maybe they can get it to be cooler looking and more perfected when it's done, but it really blocks the building. So I think that a canopy that did less blocking of the building, even seasonally, and let's face it, this island is experienced seasonally for the most part. So from the public's perspective, seasonal equals always. So I would be a little bit more desirous of something that blocked the building less, either a higher bubble or a less three-dimensional bubble or some combination thereof. I don't think I could accept having that block building to the extent that it does.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson?
When I looked at this last night, the main building up in there, really a lovely building. And when I saw the proposed deck, I said, why change the language? Why not just use a similar language, architectural language? And then I said, okay, they want a contrast. They want to contrast the deck with the building in plan. And I thought that was so. Let me look at it again in elevation, how that works with the building. And I thought, look, if it's related to the building and stuff, they look like one. It would one form, you know, a horizontal base and a building. It would be gorgeous, I thought, and I could accept the dialogue with the plan. That's different, but that could be worked out. So I can accept it as it is. The stairs, we have two sets of stairs, three sets of stairs. Really have no meaning for me because we're coming down to a lawn, essentially. So I don't know what that means. I think that could be simplified. And on the whole, I can accept the deck and accept the language of the deck, the plan language of the deck. I can accept modify the openings, and I can see the poles, and I can see the organic form in the summertime. But once it's removed, I can see this is a dialectic project. It's a project that's kind of using a different language for each piece and generating excitement from that. So I could accept that. But I think we could really look at the number of stairs. Do you need 3?
I'm going to go ahead and speak too because I might be the deciding vote. I'm going to agree with Commissioner Chu. I think this is an exciting adaptive reuse project. I think that what we're doing is we're creating more outdoor space to increase what they can do with this event space. In terms of the deck, I think that they can, if they wish to, they can explore ADA accessibility with staff. And in terms of the display, the temporary seasonal canopy that they had, in my view, it's somewhat artistic. I think it's there to kind of draw the eye and serve a function in a fun way. And I think it's a temporary installation. So I can also find that acceptable. Commissioner Chu, would you feel comfortable reading the motion?
Sure.
In the case of LPC 2605390309 Clayton Road, Governor's Island, 3rd District, a chapel built circa 1942 application is to construct a deck, modify openings, and install poles for seasonal canopy installations. Note that the building was amongst 6 that the commission approved for demolition into 12 within the Governor's Island Historic District. I recommend a positive report be issued, finding that the proposed work will not damage or eliminate any significant architectural or historic features, that the location and siting of the building on an irregularly shaped lot across from the parade ground can support the presence of a large deck, that the proposed deck will feature cedar decking, stairs, and furniture elements, steel posts, and cable rails, all with the neutral finishes that minimize its visual presence while harmonizing with the surrounding landscape, that the proposed modifications of windows to doors for deck access will remove only the minimal amount of the wall below the existing window sills, and the design of the proposed doors and transom assemblies, including the retention of shutters, will harmonize with adjacent windows, that the installation of permanent metal rod support posts at the perimeter of the deck and the cloud light shading device and/or string lighting, which will be seasonal and temporary, will be in keeping with the presence of other rotating art installations found on Governor's Island, and that the proposed work will provide additional access, gathering spaces, and seasonal shade coverage and lighting that supports the continued adaptive use of the former religious structure and the overall activation of the building and adjacent parade ground site, and will enhance the Governor's Island Historic District. I also ask that the applicant work with staff on the possibility of a ramp access to the deck, and look at the door heads as was mentioned by the commissioner.
Yeah, an upper transom. Yeah.
Upper transom.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg, would you second that?
Second.
Thank you. And Mark, will you call for it?
Vice Chair Master,
Aye.
Commissioner Chen,
Aye.
Commissioner Chu.
Aye.
Commissioner Ginsburg,
Aye.
Commissioner Goldblum,
No.
Commissioner Jefferson.
No.
Commissioner Jefferson, I thought you had said that the deck was fine as is.
Yeah.
That's a yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
6 in favor and 1 opposed, the motion passes.
That's been approved. And let's move to the next item.
Right, the next item is public hearing item number 5, LPC 26-03284. An application for a certificate of appropriateness in the borough of Manhattan. Block 1, lot 111 Andrews Road, also building the Governor's Island Historic. This is a neo-Georgian style officers' quarters building designed by the Rogers Tour and constructed in 1934. And the application is to install a deck. Control the slide for you, just say next.
Fantastic. My name is Sanford Berger, the architect. I'm here to make a presentation for this particular project, 111 Andes Road. And I'm sure the commission is familiar with the existing deck that was approved quite some time ago. This is just merely another section piece that we're going to take a look at. So, points. Okay, great. So the site is located on the north side of the island, pretty much adjacent to near the current ferry terminal and its slip. And we'll take that on the next slide. This is just to familiarize yourself with where the site is, where the buildings are. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. So current building, the U-shaped building, has an existing, patios, pools, terraces that are all sort of delineated. Here you can see going from photo 1 on the upper left-hand corner. That's the corner of the building we're looking to occupy. Not exactly sure what happened to photo 2, but it's not one of my better shots. Photo 3, again, these are different angles of the project. That we're just sort of taking you through the existing terraces that are around there. I'll take you all the way down to, critical for us is photo 11, third one down on the left-hand side. That pathway will remain. The new deck will be to the left, filling that area. That's the reference point. Okay, so that it's also referenced from, you can see it in photo 9, that path and that particular metal railing will all disappear. And now our deck will extend to the 2 bay windows that you can see in photo 9 and in photo number 7. What's going to be critical for the commission at a certain point, which we would refer back to, is photos 5 and 6. So photo 5 shows you an existing metal staircase. So that door is an exit door which comes out of the cafeteria. It's elevation 17.1. And you come down to an elevation of that staircase takes you down to 13. What's critical about these two numbers is that our entire deck works within elevation 17 and elevation 13. So the elevation 17 is the primary height of the entire terrace, the entire sort of design where all the chaise lounges are. And as we step down towards the water, which we'll see in later photographs, this is what's been feedback, which I know that the commission would like me to address. So let's take a look at the next slide. So to bring it all slow. Okay. So if you remember that I mentioned there was one pathway that was going to remain. That pathway is delineated just past those bushes. And what we're talking about in this particular project is the decks that are going, the deck that's going to be.
I think you need to go to the front.
That's what I was at.
Yeah, let's go to the.
No problem. That's what.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
Sorry,
We're not gonna be able to see it. People aren't gonna see it, but it's better.
I appreciate that. I will project. Okay, great. Thank you. So we talked about, this was elevation 17.1. This was the existing terrace. Currently, people leave this particular, so let's just go back one photograph if you would be so kind. Okay, so people come out of here. This is the cafeteria, right? They come out of here. Currently.
So the one thing you can't stand in front of the camera, which is the below.
Well, there's so many things happening here.
Gotta be pretty nimble if you can do that, right?
I'm going to be nimble. I'm going to be nimble.
Here.
I've got an extra, okay. So in this photograph over here, right? So you come out, right? Currently, you're carrying a tray of things. You walk down the staircase. Then you come back up the staircase to land on this patio. Okay, so there's a sort of an up and down. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to fill in this area right here.
Where's that happening in the plan and the overall plan?
Where's that photo?
Right, this is the path.
I think it's mislabeled.
What's
That's
that?
the stair right there that you just nearly touched there.
That's correct. That's the staircase. That's that staircase right there.
So photo 9 is looking into that courtyard facade, right? Can you point where you think photo 9 is? Because I don't think it's where you say it is, which is up at the end of the building up there.
So that photo 9 is actually.
Oh, is that?
That's photo 9 right here.
That's photo 9.
Yeah. Photo 5 shoots the picture of that staircase, right?
The little T-shaped thing that photo 9 stickers is sitting on is a raised platform of some kind.
This?
Yeah.
So I see it.
That is a platform that currently doesn't exist.
So what's in the foreground of picture number 9, where the railings are coming down?
I'm sorry, this is the walkway, which is this walkway right here. Boom, right there. That's that corner right there.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
I see, okay.
The deck, as you'll see in the next plan, next photo. That's that same corner I just talked to you about.
Uh-huh.
Okay. This ground slopes down from here to the building. So you come out here. Originally, you came down a staircase into a hole and then came back up and landed at that point.
Okay.
So all of this exists right here. So the proposed scope of work today is this section of deck, this on-grade patio back here in the corner, and this three-part deck to get you down to this existing pathway that's at elevation 13. 17 down to 13.
Does that deck lead you to that stair?
Does this,
Behind the planter? Yeah,
this deck here
yeah, there. Is
leads
that
you to there,
okay.
yes.
And
You
then-
can come out of this, you can come out of this terrace. Instead of going down to the ground, you can walk at the same level
There,
to
okay.
there. That's the intent. From this level, out and back. So just to talk about materiality. So this is, we maintain this black grading area so to match the existing staircase there. When you get back here, we couldn't make this solid, we couldn't fill this in because there are a tremendous amount of air vents and mechanical systems that are working below this, and we needed the airflow. So we needed this to have a breathing spot from here back to the corner over there. So that's why this is, you'll see in our drawings, that's why this is cantilevered out to the face of the building. Just a note about that, we, in our original presentation, we had kept it back 6 inches from the face of the building. And we took some feedback from the community board, and they didn't like the fact that we created a handrail. At 6 inches, you needed a handrail. So we put it to a point 2 inches from the facade. This is not actually touching the facade. There is one point of, so I apologize, there is one point of engagement, which is right here. So there are currently 4 windows. This one will be modified to a door because there's a point at the end of the cafeteria where you can touch the same level. Gives people different options. Let's go to next slide. This is a different view. This is that sort of garage parking where this is elevation 17 again. This is elevation 13. And as you can see, the ground does slope off. There's right now they're in burlap, but this is the foliage that exists. If you were approaching this from this side, this is all currently wrapped, but this is all blocked off. This is a really good shot, photo 17, again, of the connection of that particular ramp. It's going to, this pathway to that staircase. Any questions at this moment? Okay, we're moving on to the next one. For your reference only, this is what the terrace looked like before you did the original approval. This was the courtyard. This is now the courtyard as it stands today. Okay, this is the existing from the pathway, and that's where it is today. We're going to move forward. Again, just a reference point of what we're looking at. This is the on-grade patio. This is the ramp. This is the black piece that connects you to that terrace. And that's the 3 steps to the deck down to the thing. That is the scope of this particular project. I'll just flip through the other photograph pages just to say reference, large scale. Let's keep going. Some of the detailing, we're looking at a wire rail so that they can eventually grow some sort of a vine thing through there, give it some color. You could see where I have some of these pieces here in section, as I've got to deal with a lot of mechanical equipment down below. And just different details of how we're going to structure this. Existing pavers and that, whatever that is. There you go. Any questions?
Yeah, Commissioner Clayton?
Okay, so the material of the deck is
Trex.
Color,
It's a, the name of I have a color someplace. I don't want to miscolor it.
gray.
No,
beige,
it's a
red,
brownish maroon.
And the paving in the corner is concrete.
We're going to match the pavers here.
And the railing that you showed with the wire railing, that goes along the side of your triple stair. Where does that go exactly? Just highlight that in the plan.
Sure. So I have a fall off point here,
Okay,
right? This is all on the same plane.
right,
So it would be here.
right.
I mean, sorry, right here and then around because,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
thanks.
Yep.
Any other questions? Commissioner May?
What is, where the large, three-part deck is, what's there now? And
Planting
plants.
grounds. There's a couple of retaining walls, but there's nothing really there. It's area that's not utilized at this point.
Plants.
Plants.
And then what is on the opposing side, mirror image in that same location?
It's a different configuration on the other side, but I don't, it's not a symmetrical condition.
It's not, okay.
If you can just go back to the overall plan.
There aren't really any existing condition plants. It's hard to buy. Yeah, what is that?
Grass.
Grass, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let's see if there's anybody here who would like to speak on this item. Noting that there isn't, but we turn it over to Elizabeth Lee for remote testimony.
Those joining via Zoom who wish to speak, please use the raise hand function. Seeing none, I'll note for the record that Manhattan Community Board 1 recommends denial as the deck and steps subtract from the original remaining views of the historic building on the courtyard and Water's Edge side.
Okay, did you want to respond to the community board comment?
So the community board comment was, I did respond to them in that fact that we had originally, based on this, had run a railing around that whole facade, which we took away based on community board's comments. We addressed that by bringing the deck closer to the building.
Okay, great.
Did not, so as not to detract from the architectural features of the hood.
Thank you. Commissioners, any final questions?
On the step deck, what happens on it? It's 28 feet.
I'd like to say relaxation and sunbathing as a concept. I mean, it's for shazes, it's for the ability for people just to sit at different points. This is all about people, you know, relaxing by the pool.
Thanks.
Thank you. So let's go ahead and close the hearing. Commissioner Chu, would you make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner Jefferson, would you second that? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. Commissioner Mayhem, would you like to start this discussion?
Sure. Yeah, it's a bit difficult to evaluate the existing conditions, to be perfectly honest, and you know, thereby evaluate the degree of change. You know, that being said, you know, I suppose the idea of decking of seating area is generally consistent with you know, the rest of the courtyard. It's a little unclear, I'm sorry, what the material, if the materiality is matching other materiality that's been previously approved. I may have missed that, didn't think of that question, but it would be good to understand that a little bit better as well. You know, that being said, it's a fairly straightforward proposal. I don't really have much issue with it. I think it's generally okay. I think the resolution of some of the details can be worked out with staff, but other.
Thank you. Commissioner Ginsburg?
I agree with Commissioner Mann. Last Governor's Island proposal, we had this nice board showing the materials. It would have been good to have something similar for this one, just to understand what it was gonna look like. But in general, I find this appropriate.
Thank you. Commissioner Chu?
Yeah, I think that in terms of the design of the plan of it, I'm troubled a little bit. Honestly, I find the island of green between the two stairs unnecessary and creating more visual obstruction. I would have just pushed the stairs against them and brought more green towards the center space. It just feels like the stair is a huge driving axis that leads to nowhere right now. And should be a continuation of the axis that's up against the building, like the other side of this courtyard. I think the plan needs some work.
Can I ask for further elaboration?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, okay,
Yeah.
good.
Commissioner Jefferson
I find it acceptable.
and Commissioner Goldman.
I'm with Stephen on this one. I think that this courtyard is symmetry. It's all about symmetry. And looking at an aerial view of it, symmetry is crystal clear. I think that the work against the building is acceptable. I think that the stairs are not acceptable. I think that in my view, the line of bushes that you see on the upper part of the pathway here should be the edge of the stairway as they continue down. And the space between that edge and to the right of the image as we see it here should remain as lawn, which would emphasize the symmetry of the space. I think that also the railing material is acceptable, but the posts are a little heavy. I think the posts should be metal, either painted metal or stainless, something that the applicant can work with staff on. That, you know, I'd look around that courtyard and see what else is going on there in terms of railings. I see there are some stairs and railings. And I think that whatever railing choice is made should be consistent with whatever is there, so we don't multiply chaos.
Thank you. And Commissioner Chen.
Since there are not enough votes today to pass, sounds like the applicant need to go back or something.
Thank you. So I don't think we have the votes today to pass this item. I think we're going to have that, but consider some of the things that the commissioners have said.
I'm unclear.
We'll talk afterwards.
Oh, okay, fine, thank you.
But we'll have you work with staff and then bring you back. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna break for lunch. So this concludes the morning session. It is 12:27 now, so we'll return at 1 o'clock and resume the afternoon session. So we asked members of public on Zoom to voluntarily exit at this time so that you don't experience technical difficulties returning to the afternoon session that can arise if we have to remove you from the meeting.
Yes,